Hello, everyone. I am so glad to have you here today. So glad you're tuning in, whether you are watching this while folding laundry or cooking dinner for your little ones. I'm honored to have you here. Today, we are going to talk about positive discipline, not the kind that makes your child fear you and not the kind that lets them run the house, but the kind that builds your child up while still teaching responsibility, self control, and respect. It's about guiding, not just correcting, teaching, not just threatening, and building up the kind of relationship that helps your child feel safe even when they make mistakes. So let's settle in and grab something to sip on if you need. And this is a no judgment zone. We're not aiming for perfect parenting, just intentional parenting. And the best parts, you already have what it takes to make a shift, and you should know that. So let's move forward here. So, what is positive discipline? When I say positive discipline, some people hear permissive parenting, and that's not what this is. Positive discipline is firm and kind at the same time. It's rooted in teaching, not punishment. Focus on building skills, not just correcting behavior in the moment. So let's get real. Discipline is inevitable. Every parent has to guide their child's behavior, but the how and how we correct and how we respond makes all the difference. So, positive discipline is not letting your child do whatever they want, ignoring the rules, sugarcoating, disrespect, and it's also not yelling, spanking, or shaming. Instead, it's respectful, consistent skill building. Think of it this way: you're not trying to raise an obedient robot. You're raising a future adult, someone who will one day manage a job, a household, and a relationship. We want kids who can think through a tough moment, manage disappointment, make it right when they messed up. And that starts with how we guide them right now, today. So let's have a quick peek inside the brain. Let's zoom in on the brain just for a moment. Your child's brain, especially the prefrontal cortex, we talked about this in our last session, but especially the prefrontal cortex, which handles impulse control, problem solving, and emotional regulation. It's still developing, right? We talked about that. That part of the brain won't fully mature until they're in their mid 20s, remember? So when your 7 year old completely loses it because their toast was cut the wrong way, that's not them being ridiculous. That's their brain getting overwhelmed and they don't know how to control that right now in this moment. Your job in those moments isn't to match their intensity, it's to be their calm, to be their teacher, not their punisher, to be their calm, to be their teacher, and not the punisher. When we meet those big moments with curiosity instead of anger, we're helping wire their brain for better responses in the future. We're not letting them off the hook. We're just making sure the correction connects in a way they can actually absorb. So we want to connect correction to a way that they can actually absorb. So, 5 tools. We're going to talk about 5 tools that you can use right now. The first tool is clear expectations. Kids thrive on clarity. They need specifics. So instead of saying be good, say use your inside voice in the store. Keep your hands to yourself on the school bus. If they don't follow through, don't assume they're ignoring you. They may need some reminders, visual cues, or practice. Consistency is key. Say it often and show it often. Tool number 2, natural consequences. Natural consequences are life's best teacher. If they forget their lunch, let them experience that hunger. If they leave their toy out in the rain, it doesn't work anymore. That's a lesson you didn't even have to lecture about. And when they face those consequences, stay calm, say something like, "That's tough. What can we do differently next time?" No shame, just support and learning. So back to if they forgot their lunch. Now, you're going to get them lunch, right? But let them experience like, well, I left my favorite sandwich that my mom fixed or my dad fixed or whomever fixed for me at home. But they're still going to get school lunch. They're going to eat, but they're not going to get what they wanted in that moment, right? So natural consequences. Maybe they had Takis in their lunch packed that day. They left it at home. And then tool number 3, time in versus time out. Time outs have a place, but sometimes they send the message, "Go away when you're not okay." They send the message, "Go away when you're not okay." A time in says, "You're having a hard time and I'm here with you." Sit with them, offer quiet. Then when they're calm and ready to talk, that connection builds trust. And when they trust you, they listen to you more. When they trust you, they do listen to you more. Tool number 4, offer choices. Children need a sense of power and control. Offering choices gives them that while still keeping you in the lead. Example of these choices: you can clean up the blocks or the crayons first. They're still going to clean up either way, but you're just going to give them options of which one they're putting away first. And do you want to read before or after bath time? So they're still going to have to read. It just depends on which time frame they have to read in. It's a small shift that leads to major cooperation. So you're not giving away your power, you're still getting what you want, but they are able to make a choice in that moment. And tool number 5, make repair a habit. Tool number 5, make repair a habit. After the meltdown, come back to the moment. After they've had the meltdown, revisit the moment. Don't skip the teachable part just because the chaos is over. So the storm has calmed down and then we move on to something else. No, revisit what caused the storm. So ask them, what were you feeling when that happened? Right? What can we do differently the next time? Is there anything you want to do to make it right? This teaches emotional honesty and accountability without fear or shame. Some parents, I've suggested them use a think sheet. You can get those offline. It literally, asks the child to think about what happened and why they were acting that way or why they got a consequence or whatever that looks like. It allows them to be able to process that moment so it doesn't become a big issue in the future for similar issues, right? So allow them to process that with you. So, just some reframing real life scenarios. So, common challenges that can happen. Let's walk through a few of those common discipline moments and how they might sound using positive discipline. So, the first one is back talk. So, something we would normally say to our kids would be, "Don't talk to me like that. I'm your mom, I'm your dad. Who do you think you're talking to?" A new response could be, "That hurt my feelings." Let them know how it made you feel, because for most of us, it hurts our feelings. So that hurt my feelings. Let's take a break and try that again with respectful words. Okay. So we want to reframe what we're saying to them. So if your child is refusing to do their schoolwork, maybe they didn't complete it here at school, so now it's become homework. So an old response would be, "You're grounded until it's done. You don't get to play the Xbox. You don't get to go outside and play with your friends. You know what? Go to your room." That would be what we would used to say. But now we're going to try something like, "It looks like this is hard right now. Want to start with just in a few minutes, like in 5 minutes, or do you want to take a quick break and come back to it? Okay, so allow them some wiggle room when things are difficult. And then another scenario, siblings fighting. If you have more than one little one at home, siblings, we know, fight. So the old response will be, you're both in trouble. Both of you are grounded. Both of you are losing access to something you enjoy. Both of you cannot go to your friend's house this weekend. You're both in trouble. But maybe instead of saying that, say, sounds like you two need a solution. How can we fix this in a way that's fair for the both of you? Giving them accountability, number one, and when allowing them to explore their emotions in that moment of how they weren't getting along with their siblings and letting them problem solve. How do we fix this as a sibling set so that we don't keep having these big blow ups with each other? Okay. And so these are just some small script changes to do, that can add to big things. They de-escalate power struggles and they model respect and they invite your child to think, reflect, and respond instead of react, right? So we're the first model, right? So we have to show them that by changing what we would normally say to something different. And so, our long-term goal, the long-term vision is raising future adults. These little kids are going to grow up to be doctors and lawyers and engineers and school teachers and whatever their minds can imagine, right? So we are helping in that foundation, in that process. So here's what I want you to remember. You're not just raising a child, you're raising the future. I'm not just raising my kid, I'm raising the future. And that's not easy, but it's worth it. It's not just about stopping a tantrum today, it's about helping your child develop the tools that they need to handle disappointment, to apologize with sincerity, to solve problems peacefully, to show up respectfully in their relationships that they have in the future. And that doesn't come from fear, it comes from love that teaches. Teaching those skills do not come from fear. It comes from love. So discipline that restores and guidance that shows up consistently, even when you as the parent are tired, especially when you're tired, because we can have some moments where we're really exhausted. So if you had hard days lately, you're not failing, you're parenting, right? And parenting is still an education as well, right? We're learning to be parents every day. We can do different every day. And I have some parents who, have older kids and then younger kids, and they say, I'm not going to do that with my little one like I did my older, right? We're learning as parents. And you're still showing up every single day. So if no one has told you this today, you're doing a good job. Pat yourself on your own back. You don't need anyone to tell you that you are doing a good job. You showed up, you care, and you're willing to learn. And that matters more than perfection ever will. If this encouraged you at all, feel free to rewatch after the live ends, share it with a friend, or check out other resources that we have on our school website for mental health. And thank you so much again for showing up, for being a part, and considering that your child is the future adult. Okay, that is big. That speaks volumes. You right now, yes, here at our school, we help in that process, but you are with them more than we are. You're with them more than we are. So you are laying the foundation for how they respond to different things, how they respond to moments where they don't get their way, when things are disappointing. It shows when they're here at school what they're learning at home, vice versa. What they're learning here at school shows at home, and we can all learn from one another. But you are their first model as citizens, how they should act, how they should conduct themselves in our world, in our society. And we are doing all we can here at school to show them those things, but collectively as a whole, if we come together, parent, teacher, mental health specialist, school guidance counselor, everyone serves a purpose in your child's life. And if we're all on the same page with understanding like how these kids are going to flourish as adults, we will help them in the long run be successful when they become parents themselves one day. They will learn these skills from you and be able to teach their children the same thing. So thank you so much for tuning in. Look forward to another video that will be live at some point, probably next week or the week after. I will post on Dojo, and I will also post a survey for you to complete for those who are attending today to give me some feedback as well as some possible suggestions that you have for the future. You all have a great evening.